Hey guys, CDTVthaG here, and the G today stands for guy who played Modi in Top Gun. If you haven't seen that show yet, you should watch it, it's very good. And today, I'm gonna be reacting to the new album from Dave, We're All Alone in This Together. I'm very excited to hear this because not only is Dave my favorite UK rapper from what I've heard, but just overall, he is one of my favorite rappers. Pscyhodrama, top 3 album of the year for me in 2019. It doesn't feel like it was that long ago that it came out. This pandemic made time pass really fast, but really slow at the same time. He's incredible as a lyricist, as a storyteller, and I'm assuming we're gonna get some storytelling tracks on here because there is 3 tracks that are 7+ minutes long. One of them is close to 10 minutes, so I'm very excited to hear those because those longer songs are usually my favorites from Dave. Tracks like Leslie, How I Met My Ex, Question Time, stuff like that. As far as I know, the only track that was released from this beforehand was Clash with Stormzy, but I haven't heard it yet, so everything on this project is entirely new to me. And real quick, before we do get into the reaction, at the time of recording this, we are 1,600 subs away from 100k. So if you're new here and you want to join me and help me on the journey to 100k, click that subscribe button down below, and as a little bonus, you'll get to see the greatest reaction videos of all time as soon as they come out. Anyway, yeah, let's get into it because I'm super excited to hear this and I don't want to talk anymore, I want to listen. So let's get into it. Track number 1 on this new album from Dave, We're All Alone. Already hearing that dark production that you expect to hear from Dave.
And all the models Himalayan, they got higher hills.
Oh shit.
I had dreams of doing architecture. Sitting through a Harvard lecture, how the fuck I end up being Harvey Specter? Young black art collector, you idolize the girl, there's no way I wife it. She only fucks with rich niggas, that's the way I like it.
I feel like on this first track, I'm already noticing a bit more sort of like these slight variations in Dave's delivery, because I know before I've definitely heard people say that he's sort of too monotone in his songs. I don't personally agree with that, but here it sounds like there's almost a bit more emphasis in his voice, which is really cool to hear.
Why? Because the pasta is Gambaroni, the watch is a classic rollie, the pussy is sacred, it's holy like matrimony. I'm to see what happens when you got the fucking game and a vice, we're all alone.
Whoa. Okay.
I got a message from a kid on Sunday morning, said he don't know what to do and that he's thinking of killing himself. But I tell him to see a shrink so I can go on and live with myself. I just want my flowers while I'm here so I can put them at the front of the grave that I've been digging myself. I got a message from a kid on Monday morning, said he's grateful I responded and he's feeling at peace with himself. I knew that God had cast me as the lead in something special when he messaged me and told me that I saved his life. Done so much wrong, but in that moment I just felt like I had made it right.
We are off to a good start. Oh my god. This was everything I expected from Dave and more. In terms of the content, we got a lot throughout this. He always manages to cover a lot of ground within his songs. I'm interested to see if this movie theme starts to play out a bit more throughout the album. I thought it was really interesting in the second verse where he told the story of a fan of his that reached out to him and told Dave that basically he was feeling like ending his life because I guess with an artist like Dave, he talks about more introspect. He's a very personal artist, basically. He lays it all out in his songs. So I guess fans feel more sort of comfortable messaging him and opening up to him because music can definitely make you feel like you know an artist. He's probably received a lot of messages like that. And he sort of talks here how he deals with it. Then getting that response from someone so influential, it says later on in the verse, this kid decided not to go through with it, with that message being one of the influences, and obviously that was a powerful moment for him. I liked what this song did and how it kind of gave us a bit more meaning to the "we're all alone in this together" phrase that is the name of the album. Perfect start to this album. That was really good. So let's move on to the next one, track number 2, Verdansk.
Warzone ting, how I come for a party. My little nigga can't lose that cash. I drop YGs, do it like Kalani. My mum got matching whips with young'uns. Should've made Sinead hold on something, but it never would've worked cause the girl too stubborn. Playing I ain't going for Verdansk. What you know about telling the 10-10 to keep her clothes on and moving good? From ST I can't squash that beef like fruit and barley. Still got a 1 black star like...
So here on this one, we went for a bit more of a less personal track. This one was just like a banger pretty much, a Dave style of banger, which is basically more low key, still got that kind of moody sound to it, but still goes hard, and we got a lot of nice bars on this one. It worked for what it was. I don't feel as strongly about it as the first track. Like I said, for me personally, the ones that I like the most are the more personal or storytelling tracks. Beat was hard. It had this nice slow build up to it. You know, the instrumental slowly built up. Apparently this song has a lot of references to Call of Duty Warzone. I only know that because I just looked at the song description on Genius real quick just to see if there was anything there, and I wouldn't know that because I haven't played it, but yeah, apparently that's where the title of the song comes from. What I've been playing lately though is GTA 4, and I'm telling you guys, maybe an unpopular opinion, but GTA 4 over GTA 5. Let's move on to the next one, the only single from this project, but as I said at the start, I haven't heard it. Clash featuring Stormzy. Dave likes his pianos, man, but I'm not gonna complain about it. He sounds great over them. I love that drum beat.
He's got a new vest, man, pop that showed no microphone. He's next to I like typing O. The score 5-0.
Well, I just looked at my keyboard there to make sure that was what he was referencing.
Slid round after his birthday, gave him a happy belated one. Burned that bridge, cremated one. I can wear a different kettle every day of the month from a different. Rolly's got 21. I've been lit since 21.
I got the Jordan 4s and 6s. All I need now is Jordan Woods. Don't get caught for purse. Can I buy her a car like a pair of Jordan 4s or Jordan 1s? Rolexes got
nice little bridge into the chorus there. Yeah, that chorus is definitely sticking in my head after I'm done with this reaction. I like that. I like that. So again, following up Verdansk, it was another one that was just a bit more of a sort of brag rap banger. This one with Stormzy on it. And one thing I want to point out, Stormzy and Dave just have voices that are like made for rap. Either that or they just know how to use them perfectly for rap, but they just sound really good. I remember I used to not like UK rap because of the accents. Even though I'm from the UK myself, Scotland is part of the UK. Dave was one of the people that actually sort of bridged that gap for me into UK rap. And I'm not saying I'm super familiar with it now, but I'm willing to listen to a lot more of it just because he sounds so good when he does it. Even if I do like the deeper songs, the ones like this still bump. This one had a bit more of a drill sound to it with the drum beat, and I really liked that. It went hard, Stormzy fitting great over it, and if there's any Stormzy albums you think I should listen to, drop them down below, because I haven't listened to a single one from him. Clash was one that I really enjoyed. I probably like that even more than Verdansk. Let's move on to the next one, track number 4, In the Fire. And this is our first 7-minute long song, so I'm really, really interested to see what Dave talks about on here. Show them once. I got more than one.
I belong to the noisy crew.
Have you been tried in that fire? I heard bullets sing higher than Mariah and Choir.
This is not Dave. Whoa. Okay, so we got hidden features on here as well. Coincidentally, as I just mentioned, after that reaction to the last song, I haven't listened to much UK rap, so I'm gonna have to look at Genius to see who this actually is. Okay, this is Fredo. I've heard a couple songs from him. I'm like that familiar with his music, but yeah, let's keep going.
Bro, squeeze any miss, but we admire and try and finesse kid. You can never lie to a liar.
Oh, the sample.
Grinding in cold nights, putting light to the flame. Now there's no flame that can melt the ice in my chain when fire escapes.
Before my entrance, I took the fire exit.
Who's this? Okay, this is Meeks. Not familiar with him.
Connected, it's the energies I'm blessed with. And now they're watching like Netflix. Had me doing next shit.
This is amazing already. Holy shit.
And they don't know porridge.
Fire burning while I'm watching higher learning. Guns busting, tigers.
Gets. Oh, that switch. Fuck me.
I'm my brother's keeper. It's deeper. I'm my brother's leader. Speaker. I'm the eldest. Robotussin. Word to arseness, I burnt artists. I stood in front of all 3 dragons and heard Jakaris.
I love the sound of this so far, but he had to remind me of Game of Thrones season 8. And now I'm kind of sad. The line itself was good. I'm loving this. This might be my favorite on the project so far. Just sort of got all 3 rappers on it so far talking about their trials and tribulations, which makes sense with the title, In the Fire. And the beat. I didn't expect the beat to have a soulful ass sample like this. There's a few little switches in it. Incredible. Fucking credible.
Riskiest numbers, this jungle stick.
Okay, I know that's Giggs.
Lived in a dungeon.
Those Air Max, which nigga stung them?
I want to say, from what I've heard of Giggs, he's probably one of my less enjoyed rappers out of the UK, just because I feel like from the songs that I've heard, his flow and delivery doesn't really change all that much. He has a lot of songs to me that sound similar. Maybe I just need to hear more. I just feel like there hasn't been that much variation from what I've heard.
Is this nigga trusty or sideshow Bob when he's creeping on crusty? Streets keep me tussling.
Yeah. In the fire, been tried.
Here's our main man, Dave.
I've been wired inside. Immigration, they took me from my mum's arms. Fuck a gun charge, 2 swords, I'm a Ronin. Crimes on the rise, hate's on the rise. Feel like everything but my mum's pays on the rise. Did you won't stop, can't stop. Yeah, it's kinda different when the fire's what you start from.
Jesus. Applause for that one, man. It deserves it.
Do your research. Travel. Go really see the corners of the world.
Call me if you get lost vibes. Wow. Wow. that song. That song was a journey, man. 7 minutes did not feel like it. Did not feel like it. So we got 4 features there that weren't even listed, but it was a pleasant surprise. Who was even my favorite on here? I don't know. I think Gets was really good. Gets was one of my favorites on here. Production was just excellent with this soulful sample in the background. It was just a beautiful beat, really well crafted. That's a big difference between anything I've heard from Dave before, just how grand and big this production sounds, how layered it sounds. That song just had me in awe the whole time. Dave pretty much summed it up. I mean, the whole song is about what life is like when you grew up in the fire. This has to be an album of the year contender. 4 songs in and I'm thinking that it's a good sign. Man, that was incredible. All right, let's keep going. Track number 5, 3 Rivers.
Look.
Oh man, you know Dave is about to come in with some introspection when the verse starts with the word look.
That's life in the 60s coming from the Caribbean. You know Ian, Delroy, Vivian, Winston, who got drafted to England. Imagine a place where you raise your kids, the only place you live says you ain't a Brit. They're deporting our people and it makes me sick.
7 years of paying taxes and I got a letter saying that I was a legal immigrant. I came to
Imagine a world that's flawed and full of evil, where dictators and leaders are persecuting your people. That's life in the 90s, you're Eastern European, and you're seeing people dying because they're fighting for their freedom. And you can't handle the pain, so you gamble and you drink and then you gamble again. You argue with your wife and then you sleep on the couch. When you look into the mirror, you're reminded again that you become the dictator you were fighting against. This life. That's how it is when your oppressor is your liberator. That's right now living in the Middle East. Death from a sky little with stars. You run away with your kids so you can give them a chance. But your asylum, it's got you in a different war. We rely on migration more than ever before. They're key workers but they couldn't even get in the door. When you're at heaven's gates, what are you telling the Lord?
The children here are just a tiny fraction of the estimated 6 million in need of emergency humanitarian.
Wow. Jeez, that song was powerful. That's the thing about Dave's songwriting. It hits so impactfully, and he really paints a picture that just makes you deeply think about the stuff that he's talking about. 3 different verses here talking essentially about the struggles of people from different areas throughout different generations. The way that he talked about it, it has left me like speechless to the point where I don't know what to say. The first 2 verses, they make me think about something that really annoys me. I've literally heard people in the UK say that Britain isn't racist. Or like a common thing I've heard people say there is it's not as bad as America. Britain doesn't have an issue with racism anymore, and that is ridiculous. The main group of people that I saw it towards growing up as a kid was Pakistani people in Scotland. They usually didn't have many friends, were usually bullied and outcast literally because they were from somewhere else. So to see that growing up and then hear people say that, you know, Britain isn't racist anymore, crazy, insanity, ridiculous. I'm not trying to paint it out like every British person is racist, but it's still an issue there. Yeah, it's insane. I don't even know what my end point to this rant is, but It just is something I wanted to talk about. To tie it back to the song, because the music is what we're talking about here, the first two verses, Dave talks about people that immigrated into the UK, where these people that immigrated to the country to work in the country basically weren't treated like citizens. And then the last verse talking about the stuff in the Middle East was just heartbreaking, honestly. And then it finished up with an outro about Daniel Kaluuya talking about basically, you know, being black and how he was sort of told a lot of the time that was an issue, that was an obstacle to overcome. But then his speech ends with him talking about how he's owning that, and that's who he is. Something that's good, something that makes him him. Sorry if everything that I've said about this song hasn't necessarily kind of went anywhere, but I guess there was just, it brought up a lot of things that I wanted to say. Just a lot to dive into there, and I think an incredible song. Another amazing one on here. Well, let's move on to track number 6, System, featuring Wizkid. Okay, we're moving on to something lighter after that song. Honestly, after a couple songs that were heavier, I think a lighter song is needed.
Wine, I got a brilliant taste. Wine, she got a brilliant waist. Wan Bissaka the Lambo, a spider. Michael Phelps the AP, a diver.
One more time, man, she living it.
This in a way sort of feels like the location of this album to me.
She wanna do SMS, not save my soul, that's spend my savings. Waiter, can you bring more champagne in?
One more time, man, we're living it.
So we got a bit more of like an Afrobeat style song in that one, a bit more bouncy, a lot more upbeat than the last two tracks, and I think that was needed to sort of kind of, you know, bring the energy back up a little bit before we get later on to the album where I'm assuming more deep songs will be. I really appreciate how much of a step up this is from Pscyhodrama. I didn't mind the more stripped down sound that Pscyhodrama had to it, but here the production is a lot more grand. We're getting a few more like soulful samples in there, some soulful sounds, and I love that. I love that. I do like how it still has the things you would know Dave for on this project, but it still sets itself apart from his previous work. This is definitely more highly produced, I guess, and more layered, as I said before. Yeah, System was a good one. So let's move on to the next one. Track number 7, Lazarus, and this is featuring, is that said how it looks? Is that B-O-J or is it Bodge? Either way, let's get into it.
Any weapon formed against me can't prosper. Imposter, I'ma fill him with lead. My best, and if rap don't pay, then we would have been getting it off of crack cocaine. I don't know how man could chat so brave. Oh yeah, man say Christ of Nazareth. Ayo, pum pum, so fabulous. First round.
Not bad. The main thing I took away from that one is, again, what I mentioned sort of towards the start of the album, which is he's trying a few like different sounding flows on here and, you know, varying up his delivery a little bit. And I think that's really cool to hear. Like, he sounds more confident as a rapper than ever right now. This album is definitely heading towards an album of the year contender so far. On to the next song, Law of Attraction, featuring Snoh Aalegra.
But you could have been all that I want, that I need. Could have been, we could have been.
Man, that's smooth.
We could have been.
I don't want no distractions. I'ma speak with my actions. Answer the phone, make it simple for me, girl. I know that you're thinking of me. Deep.
Now I don't mind saying, now I feel like that I want, that I need. We could have been.
Santan, banking's our ability, but I'm still learning accountability. I rather lie.
We could have been.
I really am appreciating the sort of variation throughout this project. I think there's a few different styles of songs here, and they're all done exceptionally well. I think they've really leveled up for this project. I like how Snoh Aalegra and Dave work together vocally and in terms of the content, with giving their sort of perspective on this kind of relationship that they were telling the story of within the song. Oh, 1 second, I'm gonna lie back. My back is killing me. If there's one thing I hate about doing reactions, I really enjoy doing them, but the effects that sitting forward on this couch has on my back, not good. Not good. I think we've got a bit of everything so far across this. It feels like a very well-rounded project. But let's move on to the next one. We have an 8-minute song here, Both Sides of a Smile, featuring James Blake.
The first time splitting up always the hardest thing. Love's a film and I'm just flicking through the parts I'm in. And that's when she hit me with a, well, I don't get why you would tell me you want me to be your wifey.
You find asylum in the countries that you fly me and carry all of your guilt and designer bags that you buy me, David. If I show body, this for me, this ain't for nobody. I'ma change the lock on the difference in mistakes and a decision, David. The first time was the worst time.
Now I'm in LA with the open sea. They both feel like things I wasn't supposed to see. Used to be my post, we was close. Feels like my luck's been running out.
Okay, interesting. I'm definitely gonna need to give that one more listens because I think that's a track I'll like a lot more when I've listened to it more. But off of this listen, it didn't hit me too strongly. My favorite part of that song was definitely the first beat where it was basically Dave and there was a female rapper on it, but she wasn't listed as a feature, so. Her name is Shah Simone, and they rapped together in that first verse, basically telling this story of a relationship. Basically, the girl didn't feel appreciated at all. I thought it was a great verse. The sort of fading out towards the end of it gave me a very sing about me, I'm dying of thirst vibes. It was a more subdued beat over these strings. It sounded really beautiful. Alright, let's move on to track number 10. Only 3 more songs left on the album. This one is called 20 to 1.
20 to 1, look at the time, it's 20 to 1.
I saw John Denton actually point out that lyric on Twitter. He said that a couple of his viewers told him that if you actually listen to the album when it dropped at midnight in the UK, by the time you reach the point where he says that line, the time would literally be like 40 minutes past midnight, which is 20 to 1. Just that level of forethought is crazy to me. It wouldn't have worked for me if I listened to the album when it dropped, because I'm in Canada right now and it would have dropped at like 7 p.m. here. But I still think it's a really cool touch.
Me went on a run, he was staying with me. I told my girl that we can't be together. A and a E, playing with me. We send him up to his maker to me. 20 to 1, look at the time, it's 20 to 1. I've been hurt, so it's hard to love. Mum needs it, so it's hard to have. Any ride out, I'm good to go.
That was really nice. Dave has had more melodic songs before now that I think about it, like Wanna Know. But this one, I think this was like the nicest his singing has ever sounded on the first part of this and on the hook. And yeah, we still had rapping on this track on the second verse, so that was cool to see. Not a track that I think I have a crazy amount to say about, but I enjoyed it. I thought it was a good song. I'm honestly just excited to get onto the next song on this because it's the 10-minute track on the album, or near 10 minutes. And it's track number 11, Heart Attack, which I'm assuming is sort of like a sequel to a song he made before, which was called Panic Attack. So I'm assuming this is sort of like a sequel, if not a spiritual successor to that track.
I bet them boys think I'm panicking. Check what my young G's are carrying. It's blade same length as a javelin. I can't lie, I was depressed at phases. I was 19 when the team nearly left him faceless, hoping that we never left no traces. I never really thought about taking a life till I found out my ex-girl's dad is abusive. I felt, how could I be a man and not do shit? And I was so ungrateful. How many of our parents had dreams they abandoned so they could put food on the table? Fuck honor, this revolver is onomatopoeic, let it stutter when you see him. Road ain't no amazing life. The end's full of snakes and jails, just a waste of time. I'm so ashamed of how I used to get figures. Man sell you a dream like the road things lit and then they leave out the parts where you're burying your niggas.
Wow, that was an intense one. But yeah, man, this is one that it's interesting to do a first reaction to because honestly, I don't even know what to say about that song because there was just a lot being said within those 10 minutes. So much so that I'm gonna need to listen to it multiple times to really pick everything apart. I don't have anything too specific to say about it just because I need more listens to really appreciate it. I wish I had more to say about it on this listen, but I just think it needs a lot more before I want to say anything more about it. So yeah, let's move on to the 12th and final track on this project, Survivor's Guilt.
Look, let me show you behind the scene. The truth is I got really bad anxiety. I'm on the motorway, crying in the driver's seat. Feel the worst at my happiest, cause I miss all my niggas that couldn't be in this life I built. But that's the type of shit that only I can feel. Nerves paralyzing when you get to stage. You feel love for an hour and then it gets to fade. Imagine what that does to your mental state. I'ma make a film for my mum and tell to the world this album is just a soundtrack.
You're taught to die for what you stand for, you feel me? And I realise that I'm here to live for what I stand for. because I want to see it, bro.
And there we go. That is the end of We're All Alone Together by Dave. Last track, ending on an emotional note. I loved how the sample at the start there was sort of worked into the beat throughout the song. And yeah, he kind of put the whole sort of like film theme that was throughout this album into context here by saying, I'm going to make a film for my mum and tell to the world this album is just the soundtrack, which makes a lot of sense because his mum has sort of been a running theme throughout this project, and it's something that he's mentioned quite a lot. And the way he closed it out as well, like, look at her story in a year in her life and tell me if it doesn't bring a fucking tear to your eyes, which at the end of Heart Attack, there was a clip at the end where it was Dave's mum talking, I'm assuming now. That would make a lot of sense. She was just talking about parts of her story and you could just hear the pain in her voice. So let's just get into my initial thoughts from my first listen to We're All Alone in This Together by Dave. Sorry if my thoughts towards the end of the album were quite short. It's just things started off okay, but I'm having a pretty bad day today, so not the best day to react to something, but you can only do a first reaction once. I thought this was really good, and I can't wait to listen to it a lot more and be able to look into a lot of the songs more deeply. But from this first reaction, I really enjoyed it. I'm not sure if I would say that I personally feel it's a better album than Pscyhodrama, because I just love Pscyhodrama and the whole sound that album has. It has some of my favorite Dave songs of all time, but this album is definitely close to it, and maybe with more listens this one will overtake Pscyhodrama, but I'm not sure if it's there for me yet. Even if Pscyhodrama stays my favorite, this album is definitely Dave expanding a bit more and, you know, trying some new sound. The rapping sounded more confident than ever. There was some different flows. His delivery sounded a bit less monotone throughout the project. We got a good mix of songs that were like dark bangers, some light-hearted songs that are more like club songs, and some really like personal, introspective storytelling songs. So let's go through my favorite and least favorite tracks here before we close the video out. So my favorites from this first listen were We're All Alone, Clash, In the Fire was crazy, Three Rivers, Law of Attraction. I'd say those are my favorites from my first listen, but I mean, it's hard to pick when everything is pretty high quality. As for least favorites, I don't even know if I necessarily have least favorites on here, but I think the songs that I'm gonna revisit the least are probably like Verdansk and Lazarus. I think those are the ones that I'm going to revisit the least. Maybe it's just all in my head, but I feel like my reactions to Heart Attack and Survivor's Guilt, they weren't as strong, the reactions, as they're going to be when I revisit those songs in the future. But for what it's worth, I did really enjoy this project. Overall, I think it was really good and definitely an album of the year contender. I think this was great and another phenomenal addition to Dave's discography. He's just, like I said, the best rapper out of the UK for me. But that's what I think about it. What did you guys think about it? Let me know down in the comments below, and I will see you guys all in the next one. Thank you so much for watching, and this is CDTVthaG signing out.